Big injury progress for Manchester United as Leny Yoro drops a return update. Big one at that, I must say. Meanwhile, AMAD Diallo might be out for quite some time. Welcome to the Network Sport. My name is Webb. Here is an update on Manchester United. I'll start it off with some injury talk. I know many of you were hoping I'll come with the good news some of you would want about Erik Ten Hag being sacked. Well, it's not the case. Ten Hag is still in his job. He's still manager of Manchester United. But there is an update about two of our most loved youngsters at the club. I'll start off with the most recent one, where Leny Yoro. Maybe I should start with the good news. I won't start with the bad news. Let me start with the good news. So Leny Yoro has dropped on his Instagram a video of himself back on the treadmill and training and running on the treadmill. Round of applause, round of applause. So the return of Leny Yoro to full fitness is right on track. He is being rehabilitated now to try and return right on time after the international break. Perhaps by early next month, he should be 100% fit to come back and take part in the party at Manchester United. We know how important, and people might be wondering why I'm excited about a young teenager returning when we have four big centre backs fit in Victor Lindelof, Lisandro Martinez, Mathis De Ligt, and Harry Maguire, and of course now a fifth one in Johnny Evans. But I'll tell you, the reality is we need Leny Yoro, and I'll be honest, the moment this boy returns to full fitness, Mathis De Ligt will need to step up his game, because trust you me, this little kid is going to push him and everyone else in that backline to the limit. I'm imagining a scenario where Leny Yoro is starting in central defense with Johnny Evans. That will be a son and dad affair because I think Evans is old enough to be the dad of Leny Yoro. I'm certain. I mean, Yoro is only 18. Evans is 36. Really, that's half. He's half his age, so that's old enough to be his dad. That would be interesting, and I can promise you that is going to happen this season. That scenario will happen. It will be so interesting to see. I will want to listen to Peter Drury comment about that. Do commentary about such a defensive pairing for Man United. But that said, Yoro is progressing well and is slated to return very soon after the international break, perhaps early in the month of September, as it was predicted when he got injured earlier on and went on to have his surgery. Because we do need this boy, first of all, for his pace and but also his technical abilities. I think Mathis De Ligt is good, but he lacks the pace. This Leny Yoro kid has the pace, but also he's quite technical, almost the level of De Ligt. De Ligt is extremely technical. More times than not, De Ligt is in the right places, even when it comes to set pieces. But it's just the timing, the physique. I don't know. I think he's not 100% fit. He will need time, perhaps, to get back to full body fitness. Because at this level, you need to be as sharp as they come. So this boy has the sharpness of a teenager, obviously, because he's young, but also he has got the technical abilities that can make him, I think, push Mathis De Ligt to the limit. So it's going to be interesting to see Leny Yoro return in that backline to shape it up a bit, and we hope we get a little bit of more stability in our backline. Meanwhile, AMAD Diallo has withdrawn from the Sierra Leone rather from the Ivory Coast squad that is going to play against Sierra Leone in a double header in the AFCON qualifiers, the 2025 AFCON qualifiers. Do remember that this is an international break, and over the weekend, of course, several games will take place. Several countries will be in action. For Africa, it's the AFCON qualifiers where Uganda is going to be taking on South Sudan in Uganda. On the same day as Uganda takes on South Sudan, Ivory Coast is going to be taking on Sierra Leone, and then of course a few days later they will play the return leg. So AMAD Diallo had been summoned, got his first summon in 2021, and he has gone on to have win 6 caps, but he has pulled out of the squad because of illness. And the hope is he will be fit and available for our next game against Brentford. That is on the 19th of this month of October. So that's an injury situation. So he joins now the long list of injured players currently. His is not an injury per se; it's an illness that you expect to cure soon, depending on the nature. But he joins the likes of Harry Maguire, Nusal Mazraoui. He joins Mason Mount, Kobe Mainu. All these have withdrawn from the international from their national teams, with the exception of Mount, who was never summoned. But all the rest that I've mentioned, Alejandro Garnacho, have withdrawn from their national teams. So clearly, this is, I think, a plot by all these big clubs to get their most important players, rested, so that when they come back, they know how hard the party is going to be. It is going to really be a battle for the fittest in literal sense. So you need all your important players fit if you're going to have a chance, especially if you're a club like Man United that has not been really getting the results quite easy. So very important stuff there in terms of us. So I think whereas it's never good for someone to be ill, I think it's low-key good news for Man United because we know these illnesses are probably not even there or they are not that serious. So that's the situation when it comes to the injury talk at Manchester United. Now, I've seen people are continuing now to spread the agenda about the sacking of Eric Ten Hag, and of course, they will come up with all forms of concoctions about what Ineos have done before with their coach sackings at Niche, how they sacked several coaches since they took over Niche about 2018 from Patrick Vieira and all the guys that came out and followed. I think they have had about 6 different coaches, and results are somehow still not coming in. And then people are beginning to talk about now Ruud van Nistelrooy and his record as a manager. So of course now the theories are beginning to fly around left, right, and center. And of course it's the right, it's the expected when you talk about Manchester United. But guys, as an afterthought, you think about it and you look around. I've been critically looking at the options that are available to take over Manchester United. And honestly, I sort of get a bit of, headache. Of course, they have mentioned so many names from Thomas Tuchel to bring back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They have mentioned all forms of options. There is someone I saw who had dropped an article mentioning Javi being the perfect replacement, Gareth Southgate, Zinedine Zidane not being comfortable with his English, wouldn't really want to take on such a heavy load of a job. The language barrier alone can fail him. I don't think Zidane as well has the mettle to stand the scrutiny of English media, whereas I think would have been a good personality to be on the touchline for Man United. I've thought about all of this, and honestly, my conclusion is one. I think Man United might want, in the event that they get to a point where they want to move on from Eric Ten Hag, I think the obvious, normal, right thing would be to back a legend of the club. And if you look around, there are only 3 options for me. I've always been a fan of Michael Carrick. Ruud van Nistelrooy is now a candidate, or bring back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Perhaps it might not be the obvious. It might not be so easy to bring back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but I don't think it's not an option Ineos think about. I think it's something they would consider. Ruud van Nistelrooy, even if Ruud van Nistelrooy were to stay, I think he would need perhaps a little bit of support. I would imagine a partnership of Ruud van Nistelrooy and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, or Ruud van Nistelrooy and Michael Carrick. A pairing of 2 former United players with different personalities. Of course, Ruud van Nistelrooy has the character of a manager. I think he's got it, the personality that can handle players at Man United. I think Michael Carrick has the technique, the technical quality to be a good coach. I think maybe that could be an option. But what I believe is Man United might want to take the route that Arsenal took, and they trusted one of their former players. No, not a legend per se. I don't think Mikel Arteta is a legend at Arsenal, really. He would be a legend as a manager if he wins the Premier League, but he's one of their former captains. So he's an important player. That's what I'm trying to say, and he was there for quite some time. So for me, I look around and I feel like that's the only logical option for Ineos to take. Besides that, hard paper. There are not so many outside options available if you think about it critically. My name is Webb. Like, share, subscribe. We'll keep talking Man United, and I'll be back later, fam.